Chapter 77, 5th Year, Beautiful. Of course, Madame Pomfrey was completely confounded by Remus's blemish-free night in the shack.
Amazing.
She kept repeating,
Completely amazing.
Remus fobbed her off with some mad theory that he was maturing, and that must account for it. She didn't seem convinced, but the sweet nurse was just so pleased to find him unharmed that she didn't ask any questions about it. She kept him in the infirmary to sleep through Sunday, but by midday he felt as alert and energetic as he did when the moon was waning.
I've no reason to keep you here.
Madame Pomfrey smiled, still not quite believing it.
I don't believe in cluttering up my ward with healthy patients.
Remus practically skipped back to Gryffindor Tower, taking the stairs 2 steps at a time. He was unsurprised to find the marauders all in bed still, though James and Peter were showing signs of life.
All right, Moony.
James smiled sleepily, pulling back his bed curtains at the sound of the dormitory door.
All right,
Remus whispered back, not wanting to wake Sirius. He hated having his sleep interrupted at the best of times, and today Remus really felt he deserved a lie-in. Plus, "You were beautiful" had been ringing in Remus's ears all day, and he wasn't sure yet how he would ever be able to speak to Sirius again.
Pomfrey say anything?
No, she can't work out what she did differently. We got away with it.
Great.
James yawned.
We'll have to get some pepper-up pills or something for next time. It's a Monday.
You don't have to do it every month.
Shut up, Moony.
Peter called out groggily.
We'll do whatever we like.
Remus smiled to himself, collected his books, and crept down to the common room so as not to disturb them any further.
Remus!
Marlene cried.
Thank goodness I am so stuck on this stupid history question.
Which one did you pick?
Remus settled down at a desk with the girls.
Goblin Rebellion?
Troll uprising.
Marlene sighed mournfully.
I thought it would be easier.
Remus replied, sifting through his notes to see what he had on the troll uprising. He found trolls pretty dull himself, but he had dutifully taken down everything Professor Binns had said, even though Sirius had been passing notes all the way through that lesson. Beautiful, beautiful. What did that mean? It was a good thing, obviously, a word that could only ever be positive, but Sirius had said it. Worse, he had said it about Remus's wolf form. So, it might mean any number of things. Remus had created a shortlist in his head. For example, "You were beautiful" might mean Remus was willing to admit that option 4 was the least likely. He finally found the notes and passed them to Marlene.
Skim through and let me know if you get stuck. Some of it's a bit confusing, but I've got some good tricks for remembering the key dates.
You're a lifesaver, Remus.
Marlene gushed, looking relieved.
At least you finished your transfiguration essay.
Mary frowned, looking just as frazzled as Marlene.
I'm so behind. I'm going to be up all night.
Do you need a hand?
Remus asked, reaching for his own transfiguration homework, which just needed a quick proofread before it was ready to hand in.
Oh, no, thank you.
Mary blushed, looking down.
Sirius promised to help, actually. You know, because he's really good at transfiguration.
Marlene giggled.
And he's asked her to go to Hogsmeade with him.
Oh, has he?
Remus asked, his mouth suddenly very dry.
Yeah.
Mary grinned, looking very pleased with herself. Remus couldn't blame her. Lucky cow.
I know I dumped him before,
Mary said in a hushed tone.
but we were just kids then. He's so much more mature now.
Lily gave a sarcastic snort, but didn't look up from her own work. Remus just smiled and nodded, looking down at his charms textbook. He wasn't much in the mood for homework now. Marlene and Mary continued to giggle and whisper about Sirius. Remus gave himself a stern telling off. It wasn't fair to feel the way he did, not fair to Mary, and not fair to Sirius. In fact, it was incredibly selfish. Sirius hadn't spurned him or set out to hurt him deliberately. Quite the opposite. Sirius had gone out of his way to make Remus feel safe and comfortable in his own skin. It was horribly ungrateful of Remus to get upset over a stupid thing like this. Really, it was none of his business who Sirius went to Hogsmeade with. Remus himself had never had any interest in Mary MacDonald, so the churning, sick feeling in his stomach was completely out of place, and his friends were allowed to have girlfriends, if they wanted. It was normal. Sirius deserved a bit of normality after the summer he'd had. He thought about it all evening and into the next day. About Mary and Sirius and "You were beautiful." Would Sirius tell Mary she was beautiful? She was beautiful. It would be a fair statement. Not just her soft curves and chocolate brown eyes, but the spatter of freckles on her nose, her warm brown skin, which had never been spotty, like every other teen in their year, but glowed like mahogany. Her laughter, her humour, her quick wit. She was a good match for Sirius. The thing was, Remus decided, if a boy told a girl she was beautiful, there could really be no doubts about what his intentions were. Boys telling other boys they were beautiful was a bit blurrier, especially when neither party had all of the information. After all, Remus repeatedly told himself, Sirius had no idea what he had been up to all summer. As far as Sirius knew, as far as anyone at Hogwarts knew, Remus was just as interested in girls as every other boy his age. So it could easily be read as a completely platonic, innocuous compliment. On the other hand, a small, wheedling voice would whisper, Sirius had always known Remus better than Remus knew himself. He had always been able to suss him out. The reading problem, the lycanthropy. Why not this too? Was it so terrible to hope? Saturday, October 4th, 1975. After a week of restless nights, Remus was desperate for someone to talk to. And this time, there was truly no one he could talk to. Everyone knew slightly different shades of Remus, based on the secrets they were aware of. The Marauders knew he was a werewolf, but only Sirius knew about his struggles with reading. Lily knew about the reading, but not about the werewolf problem. Mary and Marlene knew least of all, and he liked it that way. There was only one person in all the world who knew about his newest secret, and that person was nearly impossible to get in touch with. However, Remus was more than just a werewolf with reading problems and a gargantuan crush on his best friend. Above all things, he was a marauder, and nothing was impossible to a marauder. Last year, Mary had told him there was an old Muggle phone box on the outskirts of Hogsmeade which was still in service. All he needed to do was get to it without anyone asking where he was going, and make sure Grant was waiting on the other end, back in Essex. The first part was easy. Sirius and Peter would both be occupied on the next Hogsmeade weekend with their respective dates. James, though he had asked Lily out several times already this term, would be at a loose end, but was much less nosy than Sirius. Remus thought he could get away from him without much effort. Getting a message to St. Edmund's was much more difficult, and in the end, Remus settled for Owling Matron. He wrote her a quick note explaining that he would not be back for Christmas. This was completely redundant, as so far he had not spent one Christmas as St. Edmund's since he was 11, but it served his purposes. He enclosed a second envelope, addressed to Grant Chapman, with an even briefer note inside. Saturday, 4th October, phone box on station approach, 12 p.m. After that, Remus just had to hope for the best. Hogsmeade weekend arrived, and Remus had somewhat forgotten that as a prefect, he had certain duties to perform, which slowed him down a great deal. He and Lily had to check all of the third year's names off their list of students who had the correct permission slips, then lead them all down to the village. Luckily, James soon grew bored of following Remus down, bringing up the rear of a long line of excitable 13-year-olds, and he disappeared off to look at the latest Quidditch supplies. In the end, Remus did not make it to Hogsmeade until 12:30, so when Lily was finally satisfied they had shepherded every last third year, he had to run as fast as he could to the edge of town, praying nobody noticed him. Hogsmeade was the only village for miles and miles around, and there was only one path which led to and from it. Remus suspected this road was seldom used, as wizards had so many other means of travel. The tall red phone box looked very strange then, standing by itself surrounded by lush green Scottish hillsides. Remus thanked his lucky stars it was unoccupied. He had been worried he'd arrived to find some Muggle-born student already in there, tying up the line. But no, he was quite alone. He opened the door and stepped inside, punching in the number as quickly as possible. It only rang twice, before a crackly voice answered on the other end.
Shford,
it seemed to say.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Remus said, loudly into the receiver.
Watcher, Remus.
Grant's voice returned, slightly tinny, but much clearer, and as cheeky and cheerful as ever. Remus felt at ease for the first time in weeks.
Cor, been waiting an hour in this bloody box.
Sorry,
Remus said.
Took longer than I thought to get away. You got my message then?
I did. Very flattered, I must say. Missing me, are you?
Of course,
Remus said quickly, and he realised he meant it. Sirius had been a distraction of epic proportions, but he had to admit that he'd felt a little bit lonely without Grant around.
How are you?
Same old. How's school?
Fine.
What's up?
I wanted to ask you something.
Go for it.
Well, you know that day when we were, early in the summer, when we were sitting outside, and you...
Snogged your face off?
Remus felt himself blushing hard against the cold plastic receiver.
Yeah, well, I wanted to ask. How did you know?
Oh, God.
Grant sighed heavily.
Who is it?
What do you...
You fancy someone, right? Some posh boy at school? And you want me to tell you what signs to look out for, see if he fancies you back?
Remus blinked. That was pretty much exactly what he wanted.
Well,
Grant said.
Sorry to let you down, me old duck, but I've got nothing for you. 9 times out of 10, they don't fancy you back, so don't get your hopes up. 8 times out of 10, they'll beat the living daylights out of you if you try it on. Hope he's not on the rugby team or whatever it is you toffs do.
No, and I don't think he would. He wouldn't. He's my friend.
Remus ended, lamely.
He ever done anything to make you think he's one of us?
One of us.
Not exactly.
He got a girlfriend, or is it a boys-only school? Always fancied going to one of them.
There are girls.
Remus sighed.
And yeah, he's, well, actually, he's gone out with a girl today.
Ah, well, it don't sound like your luck's in, mate. I mean, he might go both ways, but I don't know how likely that is, to be honest.
Yeah.
Remus sighed. He called me beautiful, he wanted to say. Surely he couldn't be so cruel as to say a thing like that and not mean it. Through the silence that followed, Grant laughed softly on the other end of the phone.
Oh, Remus, love. Real stunner, is he?
I don't know what to do.
Remus replied, closing his eyes and leaning hopelessly back against the booth.
Nothing you can do. It won't last forever, don't worry. You'll move on. Just look after yourself.
Thanks.
Anytime. You're back next summer, yeah?
Yeah.
Christmas?
Probably not.
Shame. Crap here by myself. Had to play footy yesterday.
I thought you hated football.
Nah, just told you that so you'd like me.
Remus laughed. Though the phone call had not taught Remus anything he hadn't already known, he felt a lot better for it. He headed back into Hogsmeade with a spring in his step, looking forward to a visit to Honeydukes before finding his friends in the Three Broomsticks. Grant was quite right. Of course, Sirius was a no-go. Eventually, Remus's feelings towards him would cool off. This new, positive outlook did not last long. Remus had no sooner set foot back in Hogsmeade when Severus Snape appeared, slinking out from an alleyway between 2 cottages.
Lupin,
he said coldly. He looked worryingly calm and collected, his beady black eyes fixed on Remus. At 15, Snape was even more awkward-looking than he had been at 11. Adolescence had ravaged him, his limbs had grown gangly, his nose even more hooked, and he had a terrible case of acne, which put Remus in mind of their itching powder prank in first year.
All right, Snivelus?
Remus huffed, walking past.
Foraging in other people's bins, are you?
Severus walked alongside him, smirking.
what were you doing leaving Hogsmeade?
None of your business, creep.
You were gone for almost an hour.
Did you follow me?
You're up to something.
Get lost, or I'll give you detention.
It's a complete joke that you got made prefect.
Severus said, quite out of the blue. Snape had not been made a prefect for Slytherin.
Though I suppose you're the best of a bad lot.
Look, you're not going to get a rise out of me,
Remus said, through gritted teeth. He would walk faster if he could, but his gammy hip was playing up again.
I'd tell you to bugger off back to your mates, but I know you haven't got any.
I know about you.
Snape hissed.
Care home, brat.
This care home brat beat you at arithmancy last year, and history.
I'll find out what you're up to.
Well, good luck.
Remus knew he had done a good job of covering his tracks. Even if Severus found out he had made a phone call, what did that matter?
I really don't know what's got you so wound up, Snivelus. Not enough first years to curse or something.
There's something not right about you.
Snape said, falling back now as a gang of sixth years approached.
Lily doesn't believe me, but I'll work it out. So watch your back, loony Lupin.
Remus swore at him and marched off towards Honeydukes, hoping that he looked more careless than he felt.